So hello and a big warm welcome to you. My name is Marion Rose, Ph.D. I'm a Level 2 Aware Parenting Instructor, and today I have with me Aletha Solter, Ph.D., founder of the Aware Parenting Institute, and today we're going to be talking about screens and aware parenting. So welcome, Aletha.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to talk with you.
Yes, I'm so enjoying these. So screens, such a big topic, isn't it? Such a emotive topic as well, I think, for parents, and learning topic, and I think so much information, and I think so many parents wanting clarity and understanding about screens. So I'd love to hear, what do you hear are parents' main concerns around screens?
Parents have a lot of concerns, and there weren't all these devices available when my kids were little, so I didn't really have to cope with this to the extent of parents. So at first I was feeling a little, didn't know quite what to say. I haven't experienced this. I don't know what to do. But then, by working with parents and really thinking about it and talking, I have come up with some guidelines. I think parents' concerns are, addiction, potential for addiction, violence from the violent video games, and taking away playtime. Is this really how children should be spending their time? Is their schoolwork going to suffer? Are they going to not interact with friends anymore? As they get older, parents worry about who are they meeting online, and then also online bullying, some people, temptation to post nude photos, to look at nude photos, getting information they might not be ready for. There's just a lot of concerns. There's so much you can do with these devices. And they are addictive. They are.
Yeah. So should we send out empathy and compassion to all the parents and carers and anyone who's listening? As you speak, I'm like, oh yes, there's that, and there's so many things, aren't there, that are really valid concerns for parents to be.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Empathy.
It's empathy.
Parents out there who are coping with this issue. It's hard. It's a difficult issue.
Yeah. And as you say, it's really new. I mean, we've had increasing screens over the years, but we're really, parents of this generation, really facing something entirely new.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah.
So I'd love to hear what you say. You've come to these recommendations and ways of seeing things. What do you, what's your view on screens for children?
Yeah.
How do you see it?
I researched this issue, looking at the studies that have been done when I was just writing my newest book, Cooperative and Connected. So there was a section in that book on screens, and this is for ages 2 to 7, 2 to 8. So apparently there was hardly any educational value for any kind of screen use under the age of 7 or 8. In fact, there's some really negative consequences. The more children use screens, the lower their academic achievement, the lower their verbal abilities, the lower their attention span. Violent video games do seem to create more of a tendency towards violence, aggressive behavior.
Should we send out some more compassion to parents as they're listening, and empathy? Like, if you're feeling worried right now, there are things that you can do, really, because that's what you're going to be sharing.
So my recommendation, and this is probably unrealistic for many families, no screens at all until the age of 7 or 8. No TV, no devices, nothing, no video games until the age of 7 or 8, because it's really not what young children need to be doing. So, and so if parents do have screens, to balance that, and some schools use them from ages really early on, to balance that with active activities, real life activities, real games, old-fashioned board games, have family game nights, real games, not video games, to just try to balance that. I think there's a temptation to use screens as a babysitter. They do keep our children somewhat mesmerized, occupied, and I understand, parents are busy and it's very tempting, and I don't want anyone to be hard on themselves. I certainly would have been tempted. I know when my kids were little, a half hour, how could that hurt? Kind of this thinking, you really need to make some phone calls. I really need to. And I don't think a half hour here and there is going to hurt. I think there's I'm trying to counteract the misperception that these devices are educational for children.
Yeah.
They're not. After the age of 8, children can benefit from the educational activities, educational learning games and activities on screens, on devices, but not before the age of 7 or 8. So, so I think that helps. I mean, there's some things that are marketed as education for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds,
2-year-olds.
They're not. Yes. We're much better off. Children would benefit much more, I feel, from arguing with their siblings than from watching.
Oh, really? Can we quote you on that? Yeah.
So sibling fights, arguing with your siblings, having disagreement, that's real life. That's interaction. And the screen learning is quite passive, even when you are pushing buttons and interacting or being touch screen or whatever. It's still not how children learn best. Yeah, before the age of 8.
Yeah. So if parents are watching and listening and they have been using more than that, is there a way that maybe they can, and also acknowledging, their needs and our needs, that sometimes, yes, it's going to be absolutely a really helpful way to, when we need to do things to meet everyone's needs. But is there a way that they could kind of come back away from that? Do you have strategies to help parents?
I think one thing is to counteract one big issue that is with screens is the disconnection that can occur between parents and children, and between children disconnected from themselves, from their feelings. So one thing that parents can do, if parents are trying to ease their children out of screen use, is to do it with them. Do the games with them, connect with them around it. Yes. Turn it into a power reversal. Act really stupid, like, I don't get this. How do you do that? You're so fast. How do you capture all those people, or whatever it is? Wow, just get them laughing, ask them to explain it to you, ask them to tell you what it's like. So connect with them around screen.
That. Yeah, I'd love to share an experience I have that with my son. I call it present time, as you know. You have the term non-directive. I can't even remember it.
Non-directive
child-centered play.
Yes,
so I call it present time, and we have present time and screen present time. And when I do screen present time with him, he will be showing me things, so I don't need to pretend to not know, and I don't need to pretend to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And for me, actually, it's really helped me to see he's internalized all the ways I've been with him, and that's actually where I see it, because he's very compassionate, and he shows me how to do things, and he'll in the game he'll make himself lose 10,000 times so that he'll help me do it. And it's I find that a really helpful way of us
connecting around screens. And as children get older, would you like to show me the photo of your, they're your friends, your friends have posted on whatever the current thing is, Snapchat or whatever they're called, Instagram. I mean, all these, that was something new. Ask them about showing interest in their screen activities. It's a way to counteract the disconnection that can occur.
Yeah. So helpful, isn't it? So connection's one of the ways. Other ways to help.
Well, look for what needs are being met. What are our children's needs around this? What do they need? Maybe it's just stimulation. Maybe it's entertainment. Maybe they're learning something. Yes. Look for additional ways to meet those needs. Our needs. Yes. What about our needs? We need time where children aren't bothering us. Maybe look for other ways to get that need met. So kind of looking at needs can be helpful.
Yeah,
too.
so helpful, isn't it? So it's really applying aware parenting is like what's really looking at those 3 reasons, what's going on here. Are they learning things? Do they have needs here that I can meet in other ways, or they can get met in other ways? Or do they have pent up painful feelings that they're using to repress through the screens to repress those?
Yes, and that can happen with screen use. The children who do get addicted, very often it is children who they do have unhealed trauma or stress often, and they would benefit from more listening and more crying probably, or it's covering up. Maybe they have social anxiety, or they don't have any friends, or so that's kind of a crutch that they turn to, a distraction to kind of mask what their real needs are. So I think it's important to be on the lookout for that. If children are really not doing much with friends, if their homework, I'm talking about older kids now, their schoolwork is suffering, if their health is suffering, certainly we need to intervene lovingly, but sharing our concerns and say, one thing I suggest is just try to encourage your child to try an experiment. Let's just try one day with no screen use. Unless they have to use it for school. And more schools now are giving homework that's done on screens through the internet, whatever. But unless it's homework or something, no screen use for anyone in the family unless it's work or school related or necessary communication. And how about maybe let's try 1 week, just see how it works, how things go, just as an experiment.
Yes.
Or 1 day with no screen use and that 1 day with unlimited screen use. Yeah. And then talk about addiction. Say, okay, how did that feel? How did that feel? Yes. Do we need to have an agreement here? And with older children, parents can actually come up with a contract.
Yes.
Okay, let's work this out. Let's figure out something reasonable. You've seen what can happen when there's no limits and it's hard because it's addictive. Let's talk about what's a reasonable limit. Yeah. And get the child to agree to a contract. I call it a screen use contract. Yes. Okay, so 1 hour a day on school days, unlimited time on Saturday, nothing on Sunday. Sunday is family day or something. A family might come up with that. And I do think children need help around this. I don't think it's helpful to stand by and let them do it because it is addictive.
Yeah, so isn't it? I know.
Yeah. I mean, it's addictive for us. We need to look at our own screen.
Exactly, as well.
What kind of role model are we?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, if we're, we can have rules, no screen use at the dinner table.
Yes.
You're sitting together and everyone's on their little devices. That's not
very connected, is it?
Very connected.
And I love really bringing the aware parenting approach in. It's really what I love is always looking at, and in any moment as well, I find that so helpful to remember. First of all, connecting with myself and then connecting with them. So it's not coming from a should or a thought about what they're doing. It's actually finding out what's really going on here and now. Are they meeting a need here? What's being interested, going in for connection, and then finding out, well, what do we need to do here? Do we need to, I love you talk about family meetings as well. So it's coming, the actions we're taking coming from a place of connection rather than power over or permissiveness in a way.
Nothing else is going to work anyway. There's parents who take away the screens and take away the phone, the smartphone, but children. I think we can accomplish the same thing by saying, let's just try an experiment and try this for a few days without using it, whatever. The authoritarian approach, children are just going to do it without getting caught, or they're going to go to their friends and use devices there or there. And then they're going to feel resentful and we're going to feel resentful and we run out of power anyway, the older they get. I mean, we can't, power-based methods of control. By the time they're 13 or 14, we have a whole lot of power. We have influence, but we're using, punishment. They'll just learn to
stay away more, be more disconnected from us, won't they?
Exactly. So we need to, as with everything in this approach, we work with children, we don't do things to them, we work with them.
Yeah. Such a lovely approach. And I also love one of our other conversations, we're talking about kind of like an experiment, and each day is a new experiment. I often see it like that. Well, let's have a go at this. Well, as a family, why don't we have a go at this, and we'll see what happens, and we'll all observe, and we'll all, and then we can go back to the drawing board and do something else. And that's usually what happens. So it's a constant, and as they get older and things change, we need to change things. So
one more thing, I think children, as they become older, they do need information for safety, like meeting people online. They should be giving nothing more than their time zone. That's all you need to play a game with someone else. Your time zone, not your name, not your address, not your phone number, not your location, nothing.
Yes.
So we do need to, we don't get together with people we meet online. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think we can give that information lovingly. And they'll understand we have their best interest at heart.
Yeah. And as you say, the more connected we stay with them, and the more this becomes a discussions and trying out things and contracts, the more they are going to tell us what happens, and they're going to be engaged and share their concerns rather than going off and doing those things without telling us. So so helpful.
Right.
Did you want to share anything else about that? We were talking a little bit about differentiating between when it's meeting need and when it's more of a repression mechanism or control pattern. Did you want to say anything about that?
When it becomes a repressing mechanism, control pattern, an addiction, basically, I think the key is really looking for disconnection, and then sometimes it can look that way, whereas they're just trying to get to the end of a game, and after they mastered it, they're willing to take a break, So there is, I think we need to be aware of, if there's a contract 1 hour today, they might prefer a contract where they accomplish a certain level each day, or whatever kind of activities they're doing. I'm thinking more of these video games, or they finish an episode, or whatever it is. Okay. Rather than an actual time limit. So it can look like addiction when it isn't. But I think it's important to really, really be on the lookout for a child who's disconnecting from life, basically. And I think it's worth, bringing it up then and really trying to help that child.
I'd love to share a couple of things I found helpful as well. Is the same with any I thought of it like it's like any repression mechanism or control pattern is, observing those kinds of things. Are they suddenly wanting to go on the screen when they feel clearly upset or they fall over? So that's a really clear sign. Or another thing I found really helpful to watch out for is, particularly with my son, is how is he afterwards? Is he connected? Is he, is he making eye contact? How does he feel in his body? Is he feeling relaxed, or is he, and that was also a really helpful thing to really observe. How
I like that, to really when they're using the screen. Is it when they're clearly upset and they stomp off, and that's I like that you brought that up.
So it's the same, isn't it, in a way, for aware parenting. In any case, we're observing, we're connecting, we're staying connected with ourselves and whatever's going on for us, and going off and getting some empathy time if we've got big feelings, so that we can stay connected with them and really see what's actually going on for them, what they need.
It's important to get support for ourselves. I think a lot of feelings come up. We see our kids doing these things. What's going on? I mean, I think the feeling is helplessness. Parents, the device is taking over their children's lives. It's very easy to start feeling helpless and frustrated and to not really know what to do. And empathy for ourselves, finding support, talking to other parents. And we need to stop blaming ourselves for our children's behavior. There's a whole culture out there that's influencing our children, and it comes into our homes with these screens very early.
Yeah. And it's a hard, challenging thing. And really remembering that I really learned this from you, is when we feel helpless or powerless and we're not really addressing that or getting support for ourselves, that's when we're most likely to use power over, or punishment or threats or harshness, and then often things start to go really downhill, because then they need autonomy and choice, and it often ends up not so great. So really that piece is important, isn't it?
Yeah. And if we do the wrong thing one day, there's always another day.
Exactly. Yes. Have lots of practice opportunities. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think it's such an important topic for parents, and I so appreciate your approach around connection and empathy for everyone for this. And if people want to find out more about your work, where can they go?
On my website, awareparenting.com, my 5 books. The screen time section is in Cooperative and Connected, my most recent book. There's also an article on my website called Coping with Teens and Screens. Yeah, there it is. And it's just a list of guidelines for teens. Yeah. So that kind of supplements the information about younger children that's in Cooperative and Connected. So
yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Yay. And my website is marionrose.net, and we have a whole series of these conversations. So if you enjoy this one, come and listen or watch to the others. Thank you, Aletha. I look forward to the next time we talk.
Yes, thank you for your input, and I enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Me too. Bye.
Bye.